Good evening. I'd like to start off my homily this evening, this afternoon, with a confession. That always gets people's ears perked up. Last Sunday was Holy Family Sunday, and my entire family was at Mass. And if you've ever had a large family fit into a small pew at the same time paying attention, you know that there's evidence that God still creates miracles. But while we were all here praying, singing, trying to be present, my youngest son and his wife were somewhere else entirely. They were in the hospital giving birth to their first child. So while we were celebrating the Holy Family in church, our family was literally growing in real time. I found out the news as soon as I walked out of the church into the narthex. I was still wearing my Deacon vestments when my 5-year-old grandson, Giorgio, who's right over there, ran up to me and announced in an unlike Isaiah fashion, "A child was born, a child is given." Okay, he didn't say it in those exact words, but I understood the message. And what I learned in that little happening there was God has impeccable timing. Our newest grandchild arrived, and she was named Stella Maris, which means Star of the Sea. And almost instantly, she became the newest celebrity in the Reynolds family. Texts were flying back and forth from moment to moment with picture updates. Everyone wanted to see her. Everyone wanted to hold her. And everyone wanted to talk about her. And that got me thinking about celebrities. Celebrities are people whose lives draw attention, people whose names are remembered, people others gather around. Which brings us to today, the Solemnity of Mary, the Mother of God, and the most famous woman who ever lived. But Mary's celebrity is different. Mary is not famous because she sought attention. She's famous because she was willing to receive. She didn't promote herself. What she did was make room for God. And the church very wisely gives us 3 readings today that slowly reveal why Mary matters so much. Not just who she is, but what God is doing through her. In our first reading from Numbers, God gives Moses the words of blessing for his people. The Lord bless you, the Lord keep you, the Lord make his face to shine upon you, the Lord, etc., etc. This blessing isn't about success or comfort. It's about belonging. God places his name upon his people, and he claims them as his own. Mary is the one who receives this blessing in the most complete way. She carries the child who is God's blessing made flesh. Through her, God's favor and his peace enter into the world. Not as words, but as a person. Then St. Paul tells us in Galatians, when the fullness of time had come, God sent his son, born of a woman. That one phrase matters. Born of a woman. God chose to enter the world through a mother so that we could all become sons and daughters of God. Paul reminds us that we are no longer slaves, but we are children of God, and we belong to the Father. Mary's eyes open the door of our adoption into God's family. Finally, we arrive at the Gospel of Luke. The shepherds come in haste. They see the child, and they return glorifying God. And in the middle of all that movement and noise, Luke tells us something very quiet. Mary treasured all these things and reflected on them in her heart. She doesn't dominate the scene. She doesn't explain the mystery. She holds it. Then 8 days later, Jesus is circumcised and officially named. Names matter. This is the moment when Jesus receives the name given by the angel, Jesus, which means God saves. And Mary stands there, again, not as the center of attention, but as a faithful mother who ensures that her son is fully given to God's plan. Mary doesn't cling. She doesn't control. She entrusts. That's why she matters so much. Last Sunday, while one generation of my family prayed in the pews, another generation was being born. Worship and labor pains happening at the same time. That's how God works. Grace overlaps. Heaven touches earth in a way that we didn't schedule. Mary shows us that holiness often looks ordinary. A home, a child, a tired mother, a faithful father. Her celebrity is not about being noticed. It's about being faithful. So today we honor Mary, Mother of God, not because she sought attention, but because she made space for God in our families, in our vocations, and in our hearts. Because when we say yes like Mary, God does something greater than fame. He gives life. When Jesus was born, Mary wrapped him in swaddling clothes and laid him in a manger. When Stella Maris was born, she was wrapped in a blanket, laid in a bassinet, and immediately surrounded by people taking pictures and arguing about who she looks like. Different century, same miracle. God shows us through newborns we can't talk, we can't walk, and somehow we manage to change everything.